Okay guys, so now let's talk about the different venues on the MSC Divina. Now the first thing I want to talk about is, we mentioned earlier, Divina's not a smart ship, so they don't have an app, but they do have, I got a surprise for y'all. They do have, look at all this!
Daily programs.
Yeah, these are called daily programs. So that's what Divina calls their daily schedules. And we are not going to read all this stuff to you, but we do have them, and we'll talk a little bit about them. We may have to make this a two-part review because we have a lot of stuff to say, but we'll try not to make it too long. But anyway, so for those of you who aren't familiar, have not cruised before. So the cruise lines used to all do this, where they would give out a daily program, a daily schedule of the different things that were going on, different activities on the cruise ship each day. And so that's what Divina still does, since they don't have an app. And you'll see on the back, it shows, and I don't know that you can see that, but of course you can put a picture of it in there. But on the back, it's going to show you all the hours. Then inside, yeah, I'm going to show y'all like all the goods. I even have the receipt of the stuff we bought on board. Anyway, you're going to see all the hours. They're going to talk about the shows and stuff they have and everything that's going on. So we have this. Earlier, how we mentioned you had to do your onboard payment. So this is what they sent us. And if you didn't already know, so because you watched our video, you already know. But if you didn't already know, then they'll tell you in the paper to go and hook up your onboard account to your credit card after you get up there. But like I said, it's so much easier to do this when you first board.
Absolutely.
So we're not going to go through all of these, but it is going to help us talk a little bit about what we did each day and some of the venues. So
I was just going to say one more side note to this as far as the venues go. If you go to the customer service desk, they actually have a paper map that they will give you, so you know the layout of the ship and where everything's located. Of course, you do have the layout of the ship at the elevators. Near the elevators, you can see what's where. But it was nice to have a little tiny paper map to walk around and know exactly where you're going.
And some ships we've been on automatically gave people that.
Yeah.
But we actually had to go and ask for it. So again, another good tip.
Yep.
Go ask for one. That way you don't have to go to an elevator to see where something is. You can decide in your room or when you're in a lounge where you want to go next and how to get there.
Because they don't have a map. I mean, they don't have an app. So speaking of the venues and activities, they did have several things going on board, but not many just because of the capacity that they had. So we did go to the sail away party. There was a couple of people there, and they had their own mascot, you know, whatever, trying to get the kids to dance and stuff like that. And there was a couple that were dancing, but it wasn't your traditional sail away party where you see thousands of people and doing line dancing and stuff like that. They didn't have any line dancing. And it was interesting too, because they did this little thing where they wanted the kids to, you know, do this little dance. Let's just say they were doing the chicken dance. I don't think they were doing the chicken dance.
It's not a wedding.
But we'll say something similar to that, because I don't know what dance they were doing. But then after that, they just broke into like just the music that they wanted to do to get people jumping and do this, you know, having a party. The music was like a South Beach hip hop theme. You know, it's like they were playing Pitbull, they played Jay-Z, they played all these different songs that Dana and I were looking at each other going, what crowd are you playing this music for? This is a nightclub hip hop theme. It was just kind of interesting for the crowd that was on board. We loved it. We were jamming. We loved it because normally you don't hear this kind of stuff on a cruise ship. You hear the cha-cha slide and, you know, the electric slides over that. That gets kind of boring after a while. It's fun, but after a while you keep doing it every single cruise. It gets kind of boring. So it was a different take on that, and I actually enjoyed it. Actually, all the music on the cruise ship was really good.
So since we're talking about music, let's talk about theater performances.
Okay.
Okay, so I know you went to the Maiden.
Side note, I had a little Mariah Carey moment, you know, sitting above the casino one day. I was just sitting in the lounge here, and they started playing "We Belong Together" by Mariah Carey, and I was having a moment. So go ahead.
So I know I went to a show, but you went to more than one show. So one of the shows you went to was Magic at the Movies. Tell us about that one.
So Magic at the Movies. Oh my goodness, this was like, it was a magic show, but it was themed around different movie scenes. We'll say, like, you know, Wizard of Oz and Chicago, you know, whatever, those types of musicals in this magic show. And there was a good bit of people in there. They tried to do audience participation, so they had the audience come down at the very beginning of the show and write down 3 things on 3 different colors, pieces of paper, and the magician at the very end was gonna, you know, reveal the secret that he knew exactly what was written in these boxes. It was very lame. Like, I'm sorry, but I just thought that the magic tricks were very simple. There wasn't anything that just kind of blew anybody away. There were several people that were leaving the show as it was going on because the comedy wasn't really landing. The jokes really weren't doing anything. Tricks weren't really doing anything. And then it was just like, it was just very quiet. Like, you could tell from the magician that they were trying to get people involved and get people to clap, and it just wasn't working. You know how Tinkerbell was like, you know, clapping, bring people back to life.
Clap your hands, Peter. It's the only way to say it. Louder. Louder, Peter!
Okay, I'm clapping. Oh, God, you're alive.
It was not working in this show. I'm sorry. This is how I can relate to it. It's just like, it just wasn't working. It just was not working. I just thought that performance was very, very whack.
So the performance that we went to together was called Graffiti. So my take, so this is a show that basically this is weird. So this is different. It had two lead female singers and then a lead male singer. Mm-hmm. And the weird thing with the two, okay, this is what I told Corey when watching it. I felt like one of the lead singers, her time was up. Right. At MSC, and so she was helping transition the new singer in, and so they were sharing songs and stuff, and it was like really weird because they were both good singers, great singers, but their type of singing did not go together. So you had like a R&B soul and maybe a pop trying to sing together, maybe even pop country trying to sing together, and it was just not working. Yeah, and honestly, one of them sounded better than the other. And so it was kind of really awkward. We also saw some people who didn't make it to rehearsal. Like, honestly,
for their dances.
This is probably the worst show that I've seen at sea. It was not put together well.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
At all. And that's a shame because I think the performers were very capable.
Yes.
Like, for example, the one girl who could sing really great, she wasn't the best maybe dancer. And I don't know if y'all have noticed this before. That's not uncommon, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of times the main singer isn't doing all the moves with the other people. Mm-hmm. I would rather you do that. Like, I would rather Whitney Houston, she never need to dance for me. She can stand in the corner and do her thing and let other people sing, right? We didn't want to see her, trying to get it. That was unnecessary. That's how I felt with this. Yeah. Like, if dancing is not this person's area of expertise, but she's an amazing singer, then I don't need to see her trying to dance.
Yeah,
just let
exactly.
her sing.
Yeah.
And I felt that way. So it was not up to par with other cruise lines we've been on, including cruise lines we've been on since COVID. So this is not even a pandemic situation.
Yeah, exactly.
I was really disappointed in the stage show.
So needless to say, we didn't go any more shows at the theater. Not to say that all the entertainment on the cruise ship was bad, because we did actually stay in the Luna Lounge and listen to a couple. They were, doing some jazz music, I think, in there, and they sounded fantastic. Right. And then I went to the Golden Lounge, and there was a Latin group there that was performing. The woman reminded me of like Gloria Estefan or something, and they sounded fantastic, and everybody was enjoying the music in there. But it just wasn't. There wasn't a lot of just like big party theme or anything like that. Matter of fact, there was one day that I went to the atrium. And I'm not sure if he was an activities director or whatever it was, but they were having a 70s and 80s themed party later that night. So they said, oh, well, we're going to perform the YMCA in here in the atrium and get people excited for the party later on that evening. Normally, you would see with the YMCA dance, 1,000 people out there all doing the YMCA dance together. I could count on one hand the amount of people that are actually doing the YMCA dance other than the crew in the atrium. Like, they were not having it. I don't know if it's just because they weren't excited about doing it. They didn't know how to do the dance. I don't know what it was, but it was sad. It was really, really sad. And I really feel like the employees were really putting their all into this dance and trying to get people excited. It just wasn't the type of atmosphere to do that. So it felt kind of weird and awkward. You'll see in the video, but I don't know. Just there was a lot of that going on. I think it had to do with the capacity and the type of crowd that was there. So the entertainment wasn't terrible, but, you know, it was just kind of hit and miss.
So the casino, I thought was one of the smallest casinos at sea.
It was.
So that's something to know. This is not, if you were really into casino, this is not the place for you necessarily. But they had video
roulette.
Roulette.
Yes, love video roulette.
That. I mean, I didn't win anything,
but it's fun to play.
I like that.
Yeah,
so I thought it was fun.
Yeah, because we like to play roulette, but I find it intimidating sometimes.
Yeah, we don't want anybody looking at
being at the roulette table. Yeah, so playing on the video is actually a lot better for us than anything else.
They also have their F1 simulator on board. You want to talk
about
that?
So the F1 simulator and the 4D theater on deck 16, I believe, or something like that. We went and checked those things out. So I'll talk about the F1 simulator first. So the F1 simulator was $14 a person, I believe. 12.
That was 12.
Oh, what did I write down? Yeah, $12 a person. Sorry. To get into this F1 simulator and do it. I don't know how long the ride actually is. But you get into this F1 simulator car, and it actually does move as you're driving. And they take the seat, the steering wheel off so that you actually get into it. And if you could see in this video, I had kind of a tough time trying to get comfortable into this seat. It sits really, really low where you're almost like basically laying down. And the compartment to get into the simulator is very narrow. I felt claustrophobic. I don't normally feel claustrophobic in situations, but this really made me feel claustrophobic and felt like I wasn't going to be able to get out. Because if you are in a laying position in a tight compartment, pushing your body up to get out felt like it was going to be a challenge for me. I have wide shoulders. You had to get both shoulders down into this compartment. I could get one in, but I felt like I couldn't get my other shoulder in. I don't know if that was in my head or what, but it made me feel claustrophobic and very scared that I wasn't going to be able to get out of this machine. So I got in there. She put the steering wheel in there, and I felt okay to do this thing. And she starts with the machine. And I'm like, okay, how do I go? Do I push the button that's on the steering wheel to go? And she's like, push the pedal. I don't feel any pedals. What it is that the machine, I think, is built for tall people, tall, skinny people, we'll say. because the pedals were so far in front of me, I couldn't reach them.
Step on the gas? Step on the gas?
I don't see no gas pedal.
You don't?
There ain't no gas. Where's the pedal? So she comes back over there. She pushes a button to push the pedals closer to me, and then I can actually feel it and push the pedals. And at one point I told her, okay, stop what you're doing because you're pushing the pedals like up into my knees. So, so I'm driving this car, you know, whatever. It starts to go and it's moving around. Dana's recording me, and you can see the car moving around. But when you wreck, the whole entire car shakes. So my shoulder is kind of sitting out like this, and the next thing you know, my whole body's hitting up against the metal on the inside of this car. It hurt. It really did hurt. I'm being honest. It really did hurt. It was the most uncomfortable ride that I've ever done, ever. Like,
what's the simulator? So maybe it's supposed to.
Maybe that's the one that's supposed to feel like if they say simulator 9 times out of 10, it's not really like the real thing. Maybe this is the first one that's out there that's like the real thing. I will never do this again. But I do want to put warning out there for anyone who may be a little bit wider or short, that it may be uncomfortable for you, and it is a small compartment for you to get into to try this ride.
So I'll talk briefly about the 4D theater. So the 4D theater is actually modified or not modified, but is based off arcade game. So some of you may have seen it with the so arcade game is usually yellow, and it has 2 fans, one on each side, and it has 2 usually yellow chairs that you can sit in. And I love the arcade game. Corey knows, like, anytime I see it, I want to get on it and go on one of the roller coasters or something. So when I saw that they had this, I was all excited. I thought I was going to be riding it all week long and everything. So we went and we go and get in it. And they give you 3D glasses, which, mind you, the actual arcade ride is not 3D. They don't have 3D glasses.
Right.
So we're getting 3D glasses. They have huge fans in the room. So let's do this. Y'all, I think, again, my expectations were somewhere maybe they shouldn't have been. But the 3D glasses did not work. I didn't see 3D.
I didn't see the 3D.
Okay, so I didn't see 3D, so I don't know what was going on, but I was like, whatever. The seats did shake like they're supposed to, so that part was fine. And the fans came on. However, I thought, because this was like a whole room dedicated to this, and it's called 4D, that we were like going to get like snow and rain. Because what cruise ship were we on that we got that?
It was the Breeze, Carnival Breeze, the 4D theater. We got that.
Yeah, they gave us snow and
we
rain.
We even got shocks and everything.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, we're going to get everything. It is nothing but some shaking and some wind. I would say at $10 a person. I was really shocked. There was almost the same price as the F1 simulator, which I feel like is definitely a more complicated, probably, if it's not uncomfortable, a more interesting or thrilling ride. So I would say, honestly, the 4D theater, I would skip.
Yeah, I'd skip both of these venues, to be honest with you. If you really have a desire to go check it out, go ahead, but nah, I don't think so. Another thing that was actually lacking, too, as far as that goes, venue-wise, is the game room. There was a arcade that was right next to the 4D theater stuff. I think it was called Virtual World. They only had like maybe 3 games in there, and they were older games. So if you were a kid or something like that, was like, oh, I could go to the arcade, but you're not going to spend much time in there because there's really not a whole lot going on in there. But it's, as far as venues and stuff, they did have shops and stuff like that. I know you were trying to get some earrings at the Swarovski Crystals shop, and they had watches, and they had the candy shop and stuff like that. Those were fine.
Yeah, and I feel like they were cruise prices. So
they were,
whatever that means.
That's standard thing. Yeah.
I will say now, in terms of venues, their pools. So they had several different pools up there, and I actually really, really enjoyed. My favorite pool was garden pool.
The garden pool is fantastic.
There were times I had that whole pool to myself.
Yeah.
So again, we didn't have a full cruise, so I'm not sure how different this might be on a full cruise. But if you go swimming like on a port day on a full cruise, usually they're not as bad then either. They also have a covered pool, so if you want to be indoors. Now, the only thing I wish for the indoor pool is that they had loungers.
Yeah.
Now, it is going to be humid in there, so just expect that.
It felt like a sauna.
But I bet if it was like during the winter and things are cold, people probably would have loved that indoor pool.
I know, but in July, it was not working.
So, but they also have what I consider the main pool. I don't know if they truly have anything that's of the pools that we had access to that were adults only, because I didn't see any signs that said that. But I felt like I never saw kids in the garden pool. So I'll say that if there is an adult pool,
that's
maybe
probably where it
is.
Yeah.
So I mean, I want to say there may be a sign out there. I don't know.
I can't remember if there was or not.
So,
but I will say also, as far as that goes, is that they do need to have more shaded spots or any kind of like shade for those loungers. Unless you're specifically going out there to get a suntan, like not everybody wants to be in the direct sun all the time while you're out there by the pool. So we actually took our loungers and actually put them underneath the awning near the garden pool. Up
and
against
a lot of other people
did the same because it was just too hot and there was direct sun.
Lifeguards start helping people put them there because it's just. I mean, again, here it is. It was like June, July. The sun is really, really like hot out there. Like even if you like sun, you probably don't want to sit in that much direct sun,
right?
All day long. So I do wish at the garden bar pool
they had a little bit more. Yeah.
Or them sunshades that you get at the Yacht Club or Aria area. Whatever.
But they had lots of venues, like I said, on the cruise ship. Lots of lounges you can sit in, and tons of bars and stuff like that we can go and check out different music and stuff like that throughout the ship.
And so, I mean, guys, there's a lot of stuff here, and I know y'all are like, I can't believe they're going to go through all this, and we're not. So I'm just going to, unless there's something else you want to put out here.
No, I was just going to say, just check out the ship tour if you want to get a detailed floor-by-floor information about the ship and the venues and stuff like that.